which is Father of Strength. And then he also brought me to see the Greek translation, and it means an anchor. Okay? So the Father of Strength is the anchor to provide stability and security. So that's what God is doing for me now. He's providing an anchor. He's my anchor. Now I'm stable. Now I have a foundation. I'm sturdy. And I'm secure. I'm safe. He's protecting me. And then he also brought me to Isaiah chapter 45, verses 4 through 8. He has called me by name. And then Isaiah 48, verses 4 through 8. God spoke new things that I did not know, for mighty is he. And he did. Back in 2022, back in 2023, he was giving me all these signs and wonders, and I had no idea. Because I did not understand how God was going to bring this all together in my life. And so I thought, oh, it's going to be this way, it's going to be that way. And in truth, it ended up being completely different from what I expected. And as I'm going more confirmation. February 19th, 2024. God gave me on February 17th $104. What is it that I was just explaining to you about the number 104? A letter, a communication. And then God brought, on February 19th, 2024, God brought D. Honey Neffs to my attention, and she highlighted teachings by a lady that I actually follow named Christine, and she was teaching about the month of Adar, the 12th month. And back last year, it was a leap year. So there was a double doors opening up, because in a leap year there's 2 months, 2 ending of the months of Adar. And on 2/15/2024, God brought me to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11, the second chance, full circle moments. On February 18th, he gave me full circle moments, Romans 8:28. Kof, the Hebrew letter, ushering you into my destiny. He's ushering me into my destiny. You're in for a sweet treat. It'll be like milk and honey. It'll be a message full of milk and honey. Oh, wow. Okay, so, where are we? Then he brought me to Philemon, chapter 1, verse 11. For it was not ready, but is now ready and able to be used by God. Okay, so this goes back to my spouse. Remember I said that he's in disobedience? Well, he's being a Jonah. He's running away from his calling. That's why he turned me in. because he didn't want to see God's will, because he has to speak to the Pharisees, to the unbelievers. And he doesn't want to do that. He's like, I don't know, no, I don't want to do that. But God put him in the whale. He took me out of the spotlight, said, okay, you don't want to be obedient? My daughter's coming home to me. And she's not talking to you. And so, remember, I told you I had a dream that he was wailing at God, asking him to bring me back, telling him that he wants to be better. He wants to be the man of God that he created him to be, because he doesn't want to be without me. So God is using me, his vessel, to be the rope that pulls him back to God. Not for me, but for God. Because he has lives to save. And so, because he wasn't ready to take that leap, to take that jump, he was removed from my presence. I was removed from his presence. And this is all on March 31st. And trust me, there's a lot more. And so then God began to minister to me, because with everything that's happened, with all of the things that I was going through this particular time frame with these people, I began to make myself small, my dreams small. I began to pull away, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't have such aspirations. Maybe I should. And God was saying, leave this valley, aim high, aim for the mountain, go up high, change your perspective, take responsibility. So it's take responsibility, working towards the vision every day. Be intentional. Channel your energy. Think creatively and strategically, meaning have God's ambition for my life. Don't just look at one thing and go, oh, this is as far as I can go. No. God says, shoot for the stars, baby. You shoot for the stars and I'll get you there. I'm like, okay. So, one of the things that God had me look up, because he brought it to my attention, when I had written down about Ruth in April. One moment, please. Yes. On April 8th of 2024, I wrote down that my virtue had to go before me. And this happened with Rebecca in Genesis 24, verse 42, where her virtue goes before her. Okay? So this man that was sent, the servant that was sent with a task of finding a wife for Isaac by Abraham, his master, he asked God to make his trip profitable fruitful by bringing the young lady who was going to be the exact woman who would fulfill the requirements of being the wife to Isaac. And so, because he asked for certain things that she would have to do in order for him to recognize her as the wife for Isaac. There were certain things that my husband asked for in order for him to identify that I was the virtuous woman that was sent from God to him. So God allowed me to end my fast yesterday with a vegetable salad that I love making because it's my favorite salad. God gave me this salad recipe when I in 2018, and I've been making it ever since. And I love it. It has green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, orange peppers, red onion, cucumbers, tomatoes, romaine lettuce, um, and I use whatever dressing I want. If I'm in the mood for ranch, I use ranch. If I'm in the mood for balsamic, I use balsamic. But typically I stay with ranch. But my husband likes blue cheese, so. And yes, I did give him some of my salad back in the day, and he was like, "This is really good." I'm like, "I'm glad you enjoyed it." Anyway, so yesterday I was very much in my feelings, and I'm like, "Father, why am I feeling this way?" Like, normally I feel at peace, like I'm not troubled in my heart, not troubled in my chest. And yesterday, being or not yesterday, March 31st. Oh yeah, yesterday was Monday. Sorry. I'm so losing track of days here. Okay, so yesterday being Monday, my husband was thinking about the following day because today he works in the morning. And so he prepares his day by looking at the things that he's got to prep for the next day. And because there are times where he has to make his own preparations for the deliveries that he's about to take, you know, sometimes he has to make the pizzas, sometimes he has to make the sides, like the wings, the spaghettis, whatever the person ordered. And he doesn't always have someone to take care of these things for him. When I was there, if I saw that something needed to be done for him for his deliveries, I would step up and I would take care of it because God said, "You need to go help your husband." I'm like, "Okay." So I would go and I would help him. And yesterday, as I was making ramen and I was about to eat my ramen, I was like, why am I feeling sad, Father? And he said, "It's not you, it's your husband." "Why is he sad?" And he goes, "Because he just came to the realization that he's about to make spaghetti tomorrow. And that no one will ever be as excited as you were about his spaghetti. No one is ever going to be as willing to eat the spaghetti when only he makes it." I was like, what? And then the other things that he does, like I've complimented him on his work ethic. I've complimented him on the way that he preps the food, the way that the care that he uses to make sure that everything is quality and proper as it should be. And no one else gives him that feedback. No one else cares. I can tell you because I worked there for almost 2 years, and I can tell you that in the time that I worked there, no one cares. Not the managers, not the staff, no one. No one cares. They go in, they do their job, and they don't care. They don't care about the quality. They don't care about the cleanliness. They don't care about the appropriateness of washing your hands. They don't care about any of this. None. And the managers, they don't care. They just want their money. Give me my money. That's all I care about. And that's what God was having me do by working in this environment, is bringing those requirements back into the workforce. It's like, no. We have to follow the food quality. We have to follow the proper ways of, maintaining a clean and healthy environment, because we're serving meals to these to people, to families. And it has to be appropriately prepared. And so then God brought Bold for Christ to my view, and she said to expect apologies and extend grace. God has been telling me this since last year. Expect apologies, have grace to meet these people where they're at. And I was like, okay. And then now we're into April 1st. But before we go into that, I want to share something. So that's one dream, and that's another dream. Okay? So I didn't remember that I wrote it down, but I remember the dream. And to this day, I still think about it all the time. And I'm not kidding. My puppy's hair is growing back. Like, he was bald. There was only like a small patch of hair. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, only God. Anyway, so on January 1st, 2023, this is when I was still in California, had no idea that I would be going across the country, back to Arizona. I had a dream, and the angel of death came to visit my puppy. And when I saw the angel, I asked if it was my puppy's time to go, to die. And the angel said no. And he had a word for it, but I don't, like the word he said, I can't remember what it is. But it was, he had me understand that it wasn't an infection, that it wasn't anything that he could have gotten from his environment, that this was spiritual. Because literally, where the word for infection should be, there's parentheses. And notice the yellowish tint. God is always strategic, I'm telling you. So the spiritual thing that was affecting my puppy's coat, had reached its life end, and that my faith is what healed my puppy. And then I witnessed the angel remove what looked like a liner from my puppy's coat. And then I woke up. Like it was this film, this ickiness that was covering him, and he was just removing it. He was like rolling it, like it was nonchalant, like this. He did this every day. I was like, I was, wow, like wow. Okay. Now, I completely forgot about this dream. Okay. Until God had me, I had a meeting this morning, and God had me pull out my notebooks so that I could write notes down from the meeting that I had. And on January 11th, 2023, I'm going to show you. Okay? God gave me this dream about making pizzas, and that the sauce was tainted. There was a mess on the floor because someone had spilled the sauce. Someone had spilled flour. Now, I took a picture of this man making sauce. He no longer works there. He got fired. But he was making sauce, and he had a mess. And as soon as I read this particular portion of the dream, I was like, wow. Wow. Okay, and so then my old boss, the man that I used to work for, he was there. He was apparently my boss again. And he was fat and he didn't care about the status of the store. And I came in and I started to get everything back in order. But there's more. There's another dream. Bear with me, guys. There is another dream. And that dream I knew what it was as soon as I read it. And I was like, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's not in this one. Where are my other? Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, I had it already pulled up. Okay. So this dream, I received back on 12. I received back on 12/22 of 22. This is a whole year before I even came back to Arizona. Like, this is when I just stopped working. And so I'll show you. There's the date. That's the dream. So, and when I read this, when I reread this dream, I realized who these girls were. And I've talked about them. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm sorry. My nose is just like, oh. Okay. So my dream was playing like a movie. The popular girls were mean. So this is like the movie Mean Girls. Okay, if any of you have ever seen that movie, the one with what's her name? She's in Parent Trap. Lindsay Lohan. Okay. So the popular girls were mean to everyone. But then I showed up and they were nice to me. But behind my back, they talked about me and made fun of me. The mean girls had 2 male friends. Eyes to see, ears to hear, okay? Because this dream is prophetic. Like, when I read it, I was like, it sent me back. Like, seriously. Okay? Let's see if you guys can discern who the males and the females are. And I'll tell you at the end. Okay? So, the mean girls had 2 male friends. One was all about himself and his ego. The other was nice and polite. I decided to stop being friends with the mean girls. That made them very angry, but I didn't care. The ego man started to flirt with me and asking me out. In real life, he never asked me out. I said, no thanks, but he wouldn't let up. So I finally stood up to him and said, I'm not interested. End of story. The nicer man was quieter, less social, but I liked him. We ended up together and into the sunset. And into the sunset together. Okay. So the mean girls, Carla, Cassie, and Jade, the 2 males that they were friends with, was the boss man and my spouse. The nice one, the polite one, the quiet one, that was my spouse. That is my spouse, not was. When I read this, and I remember writing it, but I had forgotten about it. Because God will make you forget things. Like until He's ready for you to put the story together, He'll leave you in the dark. And and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Okay, so back to today. And so God gave me on April 1st, 2023, God gave me Isaiah. Where is he? Isaiah. Wait. Yeah, Isaiah. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to find it because I'm looking in the wrong in the wrong year. Anyway, so back on April 1st, 2023, God gave me Isaiah 10 verses 1 through 4. Okay? And it says, those who misuse justice for their own gain. And then on that same date, this was something on Facebook that I had posted. Okay? I had posted that particular verse on Facebook because God had me, there were things that God was having me do in the natural and then things that He was having me do on social media. And I had to be obedient about all of it. And so that verse, those who misuse justice for their own gain. And my husband misused justice for his own gain, for his own protection. He didn't want to get in trouble with the boss. So he said, no, she's the only one in love with me. I don't have anything to do with her. And now he's reaping what he sowed because God is saying, no, I allowed you to scapegoat it once. Remember, He allowed Jonas to escape, but then He put him in the in the stomach of the whale the second time. And that made him come back and say, okay, I got to do what God tells me to do. And that is what's happening to my husband. He's being forced to speak the words that God originally gave him. But now I'm not there to feel the repercussions. Okay? So, God also had me write on April 1st of 2023 that anything not of God on that day would be dying, a spiritual or physical death tonight. 4-1. I do not rejoice. I would prefer that all of God's children came back to Him. It would be a better outcome, honestly. Okay, so now for the dream. And I have to say, please guard your loins, because this dream is prophetic. Okay? So early this morning, I was in a house, and I knew I was being held against my will. And there was another girl with me, and I kept telling her to pray. The more I prayed, the more I could see the path that was highlighted before me. I told the girl to follow me, as she couldn't see the path. As we ran, jumping in and out of sight, turning right, turning left, the longer we ran, the faster we went. Suddenly, a group of people walked out of a vortex. So you know how in the movies they have like the little vortex pathways? And I'm going to describe what I saw with my spiritual eyes. Okay? These people were wearing all black. She couldn't see them. To the normal eye, they looked like regular people. But to the discerning eye, they were demons. They were covered in, the only thing I can think of is sludge, like blood sludge, like these were the necromanders. These were the people, these were the demons that went after humans to destroy them. Okay? And there was a, a dream I shared with all of you a while back about being in the bathroom, and how when I was in the bathroom, it looked clean, it looks polished, it looked beautiful. But when I walked out of the bathroom, I walked across the threshold of the door. When I looked back, I could see the sludge. Okay? So these people walked out of this vortex, and now the vortex kind of elongated itself, so it looked like a hallway. And I could see that it was like a rib cage, a human rib cage, like the internal insides of a body. And among the group was a woman. And I could see them for what they really were, which was demons. And they were sent to take us to the abyss. I prayed even more and heard, "Stay still." I stopped moving in that moment, but the other girl ran. I couldn't yell for her to tell her to stop because a hand covered my mouth. A man appeared in all white and just motioned me to be silent. Now, I have been sleeping with my thumb on my mouth. And I was like, what in the heck does that mean? And so God is saying, you're going to want to explain to your husband what's going on. You're going to want to protect him. You're going to want to, reach out to him and say, hey, just FYI, this is going to come. No, he has to understand. He has discernment. He has eyes to see and ears to hear. And he knows that he is not following my path. I'm like, okay. So, so he kept me silent. And the girl ran into a dark room. And then I heard a yell. The 3 men ordered by the woman to retrieve the girl. When they came out of the doorway, they were carrying an iron ball